Welcome to My Irish Radio, music and culture news, your connection to everything happening in the world of Irish music and culture. I'm Jamie Flanagan. Each episode will share the latest news from Ireland's vibrant music scene, from traditional and folk to rebel ballads, pub tunes, Celtic rock, and today's top Irish pop. We'll also bring you updates on festivals, cultural events, and people keeping Irish heritage alive around the world. And remember, My Irish Radio is more than just a station. It's your community, your soundtrack, your voice. You can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com and through the links in the podcast description below. Here's the best part. You can be part of it. Host your very own show on My Irish Radio. Choose your playlist, share your stories, make My Irish Radio your Irish Radio. Let's get into what's happening this week in Irish music and culture.
So today we're pointing our sensors towards, well, the edge of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've been paying any attention to the cultural seismographs, especially here in early 2026, you've probably noticed a really specific, really loud frequency coming out of Ireland.
You really have.
And I want to be clear here right up top.
Yeah.
Yes, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. But if you think we're here to talk about, green beer and parades,
Yeah.
this is not that show.
Please, let's put the stereotypes in a box and just lock it.
Exactly. What we're looking at is a dispatch. It's called the Emerald Rhythm from February 2026. And the picture it paints, it isn't seasonal. It's more like a structural boom.
It is.
We're seeing this convergence of commercial dominance in the UK music market, some really radical government policy on how artists get paid, and even archaeological finds that are, well, they're literally rewriting history books.
It's a fascinating case study, really, in how a small nation projects power. Usually when we talk about a cultural moment, it's, a trend, a viral video or something.
Right, something fleeting.
Exactly. But this dispatch, it suggests something systemic. It's an ecosystem that connects, say, the mosh pit at a rap gig in Belfast, all the way to the quiet archives of Trinity College, and then straight into, the government buildings where they write the budget.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to understand that ecosystem. How do you get from a Roman pot buried in the Dublin mud to a hip-hop trio hijacking the UK vinyl charts? We need to connect those dots.
And to really get the scale of that, we have to start with the hard data. I mean, the numbers coming out of the UK music industry right now are, well, frankly, they're startling.
This was the headline that made me stop. I had to double check the source. I thought I was misreading it. We're looking at the UK's official vinyl singles chart.
Right.
Now, the UK market is one of the most competitive in the world, and yet, sitting at number one and number two, it's an Irish lockout.
It is. And it's not the kind of, safe export music you might expect. At number one, you've got the rap trio Kneecap with their track No Comment.
And right behind them at number two is Lankum, with a cover of Ghost Town.
Okay, let's pause on those two bands because the context here is everything. Kneecap is not some manufactured pop group.
No.
They are a riotous, politicized Irish language hip-hop group from West Belfast.
Right.
And Lankum. They use traditional folk instruments like uilleann pipes and fiddles, but they play them with the intensity of, a doom metal band. It's heavy.
It's so intense, and that's why the vinyl metric is so critical here. If they were just topping a streaming chart, you could argue it's, passive algorithms pushing songs into playlists.
Sure.
But vinyl is different.
That's a high-friction transaction.
Yeah.
You have to physically go to a store or go online and pay 20, 30 quid for a disc.
Exactly. It's an active economic vote. And to have Kneecap and Lankum topping that chart, it tells you the engagement is incredibly deep.
It suggests the whole Irish sound of 2026 is being defined by these really bold, uncompromising artists.
And the market is rewarding them for it. It kind of dismantles that old logic that you have to water down your culture to export it,
Yeah, that's a great point. Kneecaps are hyper-local. They're rapping about life in Belfast, often in Irish, and they're outselling global pop acts in the UK.
It just proves that specificity can be universal. People are craving authenticity. And the dispatch shows this isn't just a two-band phenomenon. The whole ecosystem is thriving.
Right. It lists a few others having a massive start to the year. Kingfish, that indie folk trio from Limerick, they broke out in 2025, but this shows they're sustaining it. It wasn't a one-hit wonder situation.
And you have Ye Vagabonds releasing their fourth album. I mean, that's a group that has built their success slowly, methodically.
A real slow burn. And then the critics love Ale Be Ready. Her new album, Kiss Big, is being called her most focused, assured work yet.
So when you look at that whole list, Kneecap, Lankum, Kingfish, Ye Vagabonds, there's no single Irish genre anymore.
Not at all.
It's a whole spectrum. You've got drone folk, indie pop, anarchic rap. That diversity is the sign of a mature market. If it was just 5 bands that all sounded like U2, we'd call it a fad. This is a rising tide.
Speaking of rising tides, let's talk about the machinery behind it.
Yeah.
Because a cultural moment needs infrastructure, right? It's not just the stars.
Absolutely.
The sources mentioned the 2026 Grammys, and there's a fascinating detail about the supply chain.
I love this stuff because it so often goes unnoticed. The Grammy bump is usually about sales for the winners,
Right.
but the dispatch highlights the technicians. An Irish sound engineer played a key role in 2 separate wins, and there were Irish creative credits for huge artists, like Kendrick Lamar.
That is huge. That's real soft power. It's one thing to be the star. It's another thing to be the person Kendrick Lamar trusts to engineer his sound.
It speaks to a level of technical skill that takes decades to build. It integrates Irish talent right into the global machinery of music.
And while we're on machinery, let's talk money. Because the sources dropped a figure that made me sit up straight. €1 billion.
Yes. The music industry's estimated annual contribution to the Irish economy, $1 billion.
That has to change the conversation in government, right? That's not cultural enrichment anymore. That's a vital export sector.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
When you hit the billion mark, you get a different seat at the table, and you can see the institutional response.
You mean the Ivors Academy?
Exactly. The Ivors, this really prestigious UK association for songwriters, has just launched an official Irish branch.
For listeners who aren't in the business, why does that matter? Is it just like another committee?
No, it's about legitimacy and protection. The Ivors advocates for songwriters' rights, for royalties. By opening a dedicated Irish branch, they're saying Ireland is a distinct professional market that needs its own representation. It's the unsexy stuff that lets people actually make a living.
And speaking of making a living, the live scene for 2026 looks like it's exploding.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at the Forbidden Fruit Festival lineup. It's got Kedema, Nia Archives, Kaytranada. It's heavy.
It's very modern. It's electronic. It's dance. Again, it just challenges that stereotype of what an Irish music festival is. It's not just fills in a field.
And then on the other end of the scale, you've got The Weeknd adding a second date at Croke Park.
Which is just massive. Croke Park holds over 80,000 people. Adding a second date means demand is completely off the charts.
But there was one live announcement that I think carries the most cultural weight, even if it's in a smaller venue. Martin Hayes.
Yes. This is a beautiful development.
He's launching a new annual series at Carnegie Hall in New York.
Right. So Martin Hayes is a master, a legend of the traditional fiddle. But what he's doing at Carnegie Hall is reframing that music as high art.
He's saying it belongs there.
He's saying this music deserves the same reverence as a symphony by Beethoven. It's cultural diplomacy at its absolute finest. It elevates the perception of the entire culture.
Okay, so the scene is vibrant. The industry is making €1 billion. But now we have to talk about the how.
You're listening to My Irish Music and Culture News, brought to you by My Irish Radio, streaming the best in Irish and Celtic music all day, every day. From classic jigs and reels to the latest Irish rock and pub favorites, we celebrate the sound of Ireland worldwide. Want to be more than a listener? Be a host. Share your love for the Irish music by hosting your own show on My Irish Radio. It's easy to get started. Just send us an email, myirishradio@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com. Make My Irish Radio your Irish Radio.
But now we have to talk about the how. Because the dispatch details a government policy that feels radical.
You're talking about the BIA.
The basic income for the arts. And I need you to break this down because it sounds almost utopian. This isn't a pilot program anymore, is it?
No, and that is the headline. It was pilot. But as of 2026, the government has made it a permanent scheme.
Okay, so what are the hard numbers? Who gets what?
The government is selecting 2,000 artists. They will get a payment of €325 every single week for 3 years.
Wow, every week.
Every week. Applications open in May.
€325 a week. That's what, about €17,000 a year? It's not a fortune?
Not a fortune, no. You're not buying a Ferrari. But it's a floor. It's basic financial security. And you have to see this in the context of the gig economy.
Right. Most artists live feast or famine.
Exactly. You make money on a tour, then nothing for 6 months while you write. And in those 6 months, you're working in a bar or a call center. And that just eats up all the time and energy you need to create.
So the BIA removes that immediate pressure.
It does. It treats art as a form of R&D, research and development.
That's a great way to frame it. So the government is looking at a songwriter the way they'd look at a tech startup.
Yes. They're betting that if you give 2,000 creators the financial bandwidth to take risks, to fail, to experiment without the fear of starving, the long-term yield will be massive.
So this 325 years a week is effectively buying the time for the next cultural explosion.
It's investing in the soil. And with the industry already at €1 billion, the government sees this as a smart return on investment. It really cements Ireland's role as a global leader in creative support.
It really does. But talking about digging into the soil, I'm going to switch gears. Because while the government is funding the future, the sources gave us this dispatch from the ancient past.
The pot.
They found a Roman pot.
It sounds so simple when you say it like that, doesn't it? We found some crockery. But for historians, this is a huge deal.
So give us the context. Why does one pot on a Dublin headland matter so much?
Well, the historical narrative has always been that the Roman Empire just stopped at Britain. They looked across the Irish Sea at Hibernia, as they called it, and basically said, no thanks.
We were off the map.
We were off the map. We just assumed there was very little significant contact. But this discovery, an intact Roman pot, it challenges that whole timeline. The context suggests it wasn't just, shipwreck debris. It implies trade routes, contact, maybe even settlement we just didn't know about.
It's amazing. One object can just pivot the entire narrative.
It really can.
Yeah.
And it fits this bigger theme of renovation in the dispatch, because while they're digging up the past on the headlands, they're doing this massive project at Trinity College.
Oh, the old library. We're talking a $90 million investment.
That is a serious facelift.
It is. They're renovating the whole thing, the famous long room. But the really interesting part isn't just the stonework, it's the tech. The Book of Kells is getting a digital makeover.
Right.
They're creating an immersive digital experience. So they're taking this 1,000-year-old manuscript and basically uploading it for the future.
So you have this perfect synthesis. You have archaeologists digging up a physical Roman pot. And across the city, you have developers digitizing a national treasure.
It's a culture that's very comfortable with its entire timeline, from the ancient to the future.
The engine is firing on all cylinders.
It really is. So let's try to recap. We started with the music takeover, Kneecap and Lankum dominating the UK vinyl charts, proving the sound is diverse and commercially viable.
Then we looked at the global stage. The Grammy wins for engineers, showing the depth of talent, the live industry booming, generating that €1 billion figure.
And we broke down the vital infrastructure, the Ivor's Academy providing protection, and the basic income for the arts providing that safety net for 2,000 artists.
And finally, the heritage. The Roman pot rewriting history and Trinity digitizing it.
So when you step back, what's the big takeaway from this dispatch?
It tells me that culture in Ireland isn't just an accident. It's not something in the water. This is a strategy.
Wow.
Ireland is treating creativity as its most valuable renewable resource. They're building the infrastructure, from the BIA payments to the Trinity renovations, to ensure they can export that culture. It's deliberate, and it's working.
It's strategy, not magic. But I want to leave our listeners with one final thought, specifically about that basic income scheme.
Go on.
We agree it's a good thing. It reduces precarity. It allows for that R&D you mentioned. But I wonder about the psychological shift. With the government now directly funding the livelihoods of 2,000 artists, how does that change the kind of art that gets made?
That is the big question, isn't it?
Does that security allow for more wild, dangerous art because, hey, the rent is paid? Or does it create this subtle, unspoken pressure? If the state is your patron, do you subconsciously start making state-approved culture? Do you lose that desperate edge that fueled a band like Kneecap in the first place?
It's the classic tension, isn't it? Patronage versus punk rock. Can you be a rebel if the government is signing your paycheck? Or does that paycheck give you the freedom to be an even bigger rebel? I guess we'll find out in 3 years.
We will indeed.
Thank you for joining us on this tour of the Emerald Rhythm.
My pleasure.
And thank you for listening.
That's it for this episode of My Irish Radio, Music and Culture News. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can hear the best in Irish and Celtic music 24 hours a day at myirishradio.com. If you ever dreamed of sharing your favorite tunes and stories, now's your chance. Become one of the hosts. Host your own show right here on My Irish Radio. Just send us an email. It's easy as that. myirishradio@gmail.com. Until next time, it's Jamie Flanagan. Keep the music playing and keep Ireland in your heart.